under 1 hour. I will try, if that is okay with you guys. I will maybe split this into 2 parts, but I will cover the basics. All right. Shall we start?
Yeah. Over to you.
Okay. So, so everything is good. I am visible. My screen is visible, right? Balaji, am I good?
Sir, your Zoom screen is visible,
Yeah,
training
yeah,
screen.
yeah. Fine. That's all right. That's all. That's because, yeah, okay. So I'll remove the Zoom screen. I'll remove the WhatsApp also. So, okay. So today, the chapter which I will be covering, as Balaji wanted me to do, was this chapter. No, not this one. I'm so sorry. This is chapter number 15, file operations in Python. So this is the chapter I'll be covering. This is the chapter 15 of my book, File Operations in Python, and the corresponding HTML file is available on the net. It is there. It is this particular file operations in Python. So this is what I'll be covering. This is the chapter I'll be covering today. So let's start. All right. So let us start with the, as always, with the learning objectives. Yeah, just one sec. So I'll be talking about the differentiation between a binary file and a text file. And then we'll be talking about some basic file operations like opening, reading, writing, and closing of files. Then using the common methods in reading and writing of files. This will be LO number 3. Then LO, appreciate the need for automatic file closure using the with statement. So I'll be doing automatic file closure using the with statement, and then file pickling / serializing for persistence. But the persistence basically means that if you put your file in your hard disk, in your memory, then it persists. Otherwise, it is transient. So let me just repeat the learning objectives again. Differentiate between a binary file and a text file. This is LO number 1. And also know about file objects and their attributes and methods. Now, by now, you guys all should know the difference between attributes and methods. As I've told you that everything in Python is basically a class, and the variables inside the class are the attributes, and the functions inside the class are the methods. The difference, suppose you have an object, say my underscore object, and you write dot attr1. So obviously, since there are no opening and closing brackets in front of this, therefore this has to be an attribute. But if you had my object dot func1 opening closing brackets, then this has to be a method of the object, my object. Therefore, every file object will have certain attributes and it will have certain methods. And the way to know the difference between them is an attribute will not have an opening and a closing round bracket at the end of the attribute, whereas the method will have an opening and an opening bracket and a closing bracket in front of the attribute. Right. This is LO number 1. Then LO number 2 is basic file operations, opening, reading, writing, and closing. So how to open a file, how to read a file, how to write to a file, and how to close a file. Using the common methods in reading and writing of files, how to read files, how to write files. Appreciate the need for automatic file closure using the with statement. So there is a technique whereby if something goes wrong, even while the file is being read, then there will be the file will close automatically. So it can so happen that you have opened a file and the program crashes. Then what happens? All the content of your file is dumped in your memory, which is you use up all your memory. So to prevent that from happening, you can use a with statement. I will explain how. Then I'll be talking about pickling and serializing and a little bit about JSON also. I'll be talking a little bit about JSON, which is now become very, very important. Everything JSON is being. So these are with this background, let us start now. Let me just Make it a bit bigger. Yeah. Okay. So what is a file? A file can be called as a location on disk to store information and has a name. So basically, just like a variable in Python is a name of a location in the memory where some data is stored. Similarly, a file is something on the disk. So a variable is something which is there in the memory, and on the other hand, a file is something in the disk which is there to store certain information. It has to have a name. This is the basic definition of a file. Then files in Python can be classified. Files in Python can be broadly classified, categorized into text and binary files. So there are basic two types of files we'll be dealing with: text files and a text file. Just 1 second, I'm getting a phone call again and again. I will just I'll just take 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. I'll just make a call. It's an urgent call. I'll just do it. It'll give me 1 second, please. Give me 1 second. I'll just take this call. Wait. Okay, leave it. Let's forget about the call and let us start. Right. So files in Python can be broadly categorized into text files and binary files. So there's a text file and there's a binary file. A text file is a sequence of lines. The end of each line is indicated by a new line or end of the line, EOL escape sequence, that is \n. Each line in turn contains characters, right? So you might have if you have a file where you said one boy /n, two girl /n. So this will be read by the, if you read it as a text file, this would be read as two lines. One boy will be the first line and two girls will become the second line. And this /n is what is called a EOL character or end of line character or new line character. So if you are reading of this, whatever data is contained in this file as a text file, then the Python interpreter will understand this to be a new line. But if you read, you can read this line as a binary file also. So if you read this as a binary file, then this will not be read as a new line character, but simply as a \n. It is for the program to then decipher how to make sense out of that binary file. For example, if you have a picture, right, JPG file, it contains a lot of data. If you try to open it as a text file, it will be garbage. So you'll get funny characters in all over the place. If you open it as a binary file, then you need a particular kind of program which will be able to make sense of that binary data. So you don't have to go too much into details. The basic thing you need to know is that your files can be opened in two basic formats, text and binary. If you open it in text format, then every \n will be taken as a new line character. On the other hand, a binary file is a file other than a text file. So there are only two options in the Python open function. Either it will be opened as a text file or it will be opened as a binary file. I will just explain this. So if you don't open it as a text file, the other option is you can open it as a binary files. Binary files can generally be interpreted by an application which understands its file structure. For example, if it is JPG file, you will need to understand what each character stands for. It could be a PDF file, then something else. It could be a picture. It could be whatever. There are hundreds and hundreds of types of files. The data will be read in the binary format, and it is up to the particular program to interpret the data in whatever way it wants. To read the file, you need to open it first, then perform operations, read or write, and then close it. So basically, if you want to read a file, you need to open it, then you need to read it, and then you need to close it. So let me just note on file opening. This is what I'm copying from my book. So this is the screen from my book. To open a file, you need to create a file object or a file handle to the file. So basically, you need to create a file object. I will explain. So basically, whenever you are creating a file, whenever you're opening a file, you are basically creating a file object. Just like it's an instance of a particular class of a Python, which is an inbuilt class. So you don't have to go into the details of those classes, because most of those classes in Python are written in C or C++. Therefore, the source code of those files may not be, those classes may not be easily available. For you, for the moment, it is suffice to know that whenever you open a file, then you get a file object or a file handle to the file. In Python, whenever you want to read, write, or append, so there are three options: read, write, or append. The words are very obvious. Read means opening for reading. Writing means putting something in it. Append means adding something to the end of the file. Now, you know the difference between write and append. If you write the file, it will be overwritten. That means that if you open a file in the write mode and put something in it, whatever existed earlier would just vanish, and whatever you write new would be added to the file. But if you append to the file, then whatever you print, whatever you put in the file will be added at the end of the file. And you see, programming, whenever you are using a language like Python and all, it's very unforgiving. It's not like your normal word interpreter or your Docker or your MS Office or whatever, that you do something and then you can revert it. No, in Python, if you do a write when you wanted to do an append, then your data will be lost forever. You cannot recover it. So you need to be very, very careful in the kind of format or the kind of this thing you have opened your file in. Then by using an inbuilt open function, I've been again and again using this word inbuilt. Inbuilt means that this function exists in the original Python core library. You don't need to import it from somewhere. You just use it straight away. Once you have created a file object or a file handle, using the open function, then you can get two types of options or operations on this file object. So once you get a file object, there are two things. The first type is called the object methods, and other is called the object attributes. So whenever you, I will do this in practical, and I will show you in code. So don't get worried if you don't understand. But basically, when you open a file, you get a file object, and that file object can have methods, and that file object can have attributes. If it is a method, it will have a opening and a closing bracket in front of it. If it is an attribute, then this opening and closing bracket will not be there. Suppose you create a file object using the open method and call this, and let's call this file obj. Then you can use the read method to read by using the file obj equal to dot read this thing. Similarly, you can get the attributes. So we'll do this. Let us do this, right? So basically, this is the format file object. This is the variable you are going to use. You can use any variable. I like to use my object or my file object, or so that I am able to differentiate between the variables which I have created, as opposed to the variables or the which are there, attributes which are there as part of the system. So I use this thing open. This is the inbuilt function, and that is why I don't need to import it from anywhere. And then I give the file name, and then I have, you notice the square brackets, access mode and buffering. So there are three parameters. The square bracket indicates that this is an optional parameter. This is optional, and this is also optional. And that means whenever, and we have discussed in the earlier class, that optional parameter means that these parameters have got default values. These parameters have got default values. The default value for access mode is read. So if you do not specify any particular access mode, then the Python interpreter or this particular function will open this file name in the read mode, and buffering also we will discuss. Right. So there I mentioned, let me just again specify it. Square brackets indicate optional parameters to the function. So the open method has 3 parameters, out of which the first, that is file name, is mandatory, while the others have default values. That is why the file name is there without any square brackets. There are no square brackets around it, no square brackets. That means it is mandatory. If you don't give this path, the file name or the path to the file, then the Python interpreter will get confused. It will not know which file you want to open. It will throw an error. But this access mode is optional. It is in square bracket. This buffering is also optional. We will cover this very shortly, but if you have understood this, then we are good. So let us move ahead. So I said there are 3 arguments. I just showed you 3 arguments. The first argument is the file name. This must be given. The argument file name must be given. It is in the form of a Python string giving the name of the file to be opened. It may include the path to the file also. The path can be relative or absolute. The relative path from the current working directory CWD, that is a directory in which you are present. So there are 2 ways of opening. There are 2 ways of giving the path. First is the relative path and second is the absolute path. So relative path means that if your file is existing in the directory in which you are working, then you don't need to give the absolute path, you just need to give the relative path. However, if the file is in a different location from the directory in which you are working, then you may need to give the absolute path. So the first argument has to be a string. That means it has to be enclosed within quotes. So it could be something like C:\\, \, some directory, dot something. So this could be it. And you put an R in front of it. I've explained this concept R. It is covered in my book also. It is covered in the chapter on regular expressions. R basically means raw string. So let me just clear this out. But I will come back to R. Let us do the second argument. Access mode. This is the second parameter. Access mode is access mode. This argument determines the mode in which the file has to be opened. This is also a Python string. That means it also must be included within quotes. Some common modes are if the file is to be opened in read-only mode. This is the default optional mode. That means if you do not specify any argument for the access mode, then it will be automatically opening in the read-only mode. If the second parameter is omitted, the interpreter assumes or presumes that it is R and opens the file for reading only. So this is the thing. And we are talking about, just remember this, let me. So basically, we are talking about this access mode, just to bring it back. And this access mode, the first access mode is R. The first access mode, or one of the first access mode, is R. It is also the default access mode. That means that if you do not specify this particular argument in your function call, in your open function call, if you do not specify any value for access mode, it will automatically take the default value of R. Let's move ahead. Some of the other options, okay. If W is there, then it is for writing. But instead of R, if you put W, then it will be for writing. However, the file will same already exists, it will be deleted. So whatever is inside that file will go away. And if it is A, it will be appended. That is, data is in the end of this and added to the end. Note plus R will open the file for both reading and writing. I will just explain. So let's not get too much worried about this. Let us come back to let us do some practical work, right? So let me just minimize this and let me just open my this thing. Okay. So I have just let me just this is a very important module called OS module. OS module is a very important module in Python. It is one of the built-in libraries. So notice it is not a built-in function like get CWD. It is not a built-in function, but it is a function of the built-in library. So that means that whenever the Python interpreter or the Python source code or the entire is downloaded on your machine, a library called OS is automatically downloaded, which may not happen with all libraries. So it's a built-in library which automatically exists. Many libraries, for example, like requests or beautiful soup and all, they are not part of the core Python libraries. That means if you want to use a library like beautiful soup or requests or pandas or these kind of libraries, then you need to import them exclusively. You need to install them exclusively on your machine. However, OS is a library which exists automatically on your machine the moment you download the Python ecosystem. So let us run this. So let me just explain the code once again. I'm importing the OS module since it is not part of the core library, and I'm using this OS get CWD. Let us see what happens. And there are two more print statements, this and this, but I've commented them out on purpose. I will remove the comments, but let us first see what happens when we do this. So I am just now not talking about I'm not talking about opening the file, but right now I'm talking about the OS module. Let us run it. So I get this output. So this line of code gives me this output. That means it is telling this get CWD, this function will give me the current working directory. In my case, it is C /users /Anurag Gupta. Now you see there's a double backslash because the first backslash is being used to escape the second backslash. This is something which we will cover in the chapter on the regular expressions if we do it. But for the moment, if the first backslash is not there, then the second backslash may be interpreted as /u, which could have a different meaning for the Python interpreter. That is why this is coming, right? Now let me remove this. Now let us see what happens. So now, but when I do the print, if this had been commented out, then this would have gone to the standard output, std out, which is your screen. However, if there is a line of code after it, then this output does not go to the standard output. Rather, this print statement is printed. Note that the print statement will always go to the standard output, but statements like os.getCWD may not go to the standard output, may not go here if there is a line of code after that. So here what happens, we are getting C /users /Anurag Gupta. This is my current working directory. All right. Okay. Then I have done one more thing. Let me just comment this again. And let me just comment out this line. Now let me see. Oh God. So now you can see this is giving me the list of all the folders and files in my current working directory: cache, conda, continuum, isof. These are all basically all the files and folders in my current working directory. So this is just, you can say that I am going slightly off the track. I'm talking about the OS module, whereas we are basically talking about reading of files. So let's come back to where we were. Right. So let me just comment this out to save space and then again run it. So, okay. So this is what we are interested in. So now, wait. So now what I'm doing, I am now using the open method of Python core library to open a file. And I'm using a variable path. This is my path. In the path variable, I have put the name of one file, which is called C /Python related /test1.txt. So this file will be open. And now let me run it. So what is happening? Now I'm asking there are two print statements. The first print statement is type of f of j, that is f of this is the file object. The return of this function, the return of the open function is your file object, or you can call it the file handle. Why I call it file handle? Because This is the variable which you will be using to do the various operations on the file which you have opened. So I am asking the Python interpreter to give me the type of file object, and it gives me this statement. It's a class underscore io.text io wrapper. So this is a bit, let's not go into all that. And then I am asking a tell method. Then tell method basically, okay, let me just, even though this, we can do a little bit. Every file, whenever you open a file, whenever a file is opened, it has a thing called a cursor. There is a thing called a cursor in the file. Cursor is basically the location of the file pointer. That means where the file is pointing at. It could be at the beginning of the file. It could be at the end of the file. It could be somewhere inside the or in the middle of the file. That is and the tell method will tell you where the cursor is currently existing. So we'll come back to cursor. Let's not get worried about it. Basically what is happening is that when I ask the printer of interpreter to print f object dot tell, since I've just opened the file, and when I open the file, the cursor is at location 0. That is why I get this 0. Let me stop for a second. I've been speaking continuously, so let me just take a few. Yeah, there are 3 comments in the chat box. Let me see them. Good morning, sir. Yeah, okay. It's all good mornings. Nothing. Anyone? Let me just take some feedback. Is it clear so far? Maybe except the part on cursor, which I will explain. But how to open the file and how to get a handle to the file, is that clear? Anyone? Everyone? Yeah.
So
Yes,
what
sir.
what do you mean by this R which you have written in front of?
Yes, right. That R tells I'll just this R is telling the Python interpreter to treat this thing as a raw string. That means the backslash is a special character. So suppose let me show you with an example, right? Then you'll understand. Let me insert a cell above. Let me call it S1 equal to, let me say I N by, right? And then let me do S2. Also, let me just wait. So let me just put a R over here. So what I've done, I've created 2 strings, S1 and S2. S1 is a simple string and S2 is a string with an R in the front. So let's print these strings, okay? Let's print S1. Let's also print S2. Let's see what happens.
Sir, S2, I think, you have written
Oh, sorry.
S1 second line.
Yeah. That's right. So the interpreter is very unforgiving, right? So now you can see that, in the first string, this /n is being treated as a new line. That's why you get a hi and a bye, right? In the second one, this /n is treated as /n, nothing else. So we don't want any special characters to be treated as so. We want them to be treated the way they are. That is why we put the R before the string. Is that clear? Does that make sense?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah. Okay. So let's come back to the right. So So any other question on this? So let me repeat. I have created a variable called path, and then I've opened using the open function of the Python core library. I've given it the variable path. There could have been more variables, but I have given only path, right? That means the file is test1.txt. This is the file, and this is the absolute path to the file, because this file is in a different directory from where I am. I am right now in /Anurag Gupta, but this file is existing in a C in a folder called Python related and tested. So therefore, it's an absolute path I'm giving. I'm opening it. I'm asking it to publish the type of this thing where it published. Then I'm asking it to tell me the position of the cursor, which is at 0. All right. Yeah. So this is something I wanted to show you again. Okay. Now, in your Jupyter notebooks, there's a very beautiful way of finding out the what is called the signature of a function. Let's show it. You have to press Shift Tab. So if you do that, are you able to see the screen? So what has happened is that I put my cursor here, and I pressed Shift Tab once, twice, thrice, 4 times. If I do it 4 times, if I do it once, it will give the signature. But if I do it 4 times, it is giving me the signature of the open method or the open function of this thing. So you notice that, in fact, I said 3, but there are more than 3 uh, variables or attributes to the open function. The first one is file. This is having no default value. That means you have to give it. Then mode is R. As I showed you, mode is R. So therefore, mode has got a default value of R. Buffering is -1. Encoding is none. Errors is none. New line is none. Closed FD is true. Opener is true. You see, things are not as easy as they look, right? But the point is that if you just want to open a file, then you may not, and you want to open it in the read mode, then you don't care about these other variables. So these are all not mentioned. All right. So does that make sense? Yeah. Anyone? In fact, I could have done it for the tell method also. If I click here, now I do it, Shift Tab, 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 Tab. Now I'm getting the thing for tell. No, I'm getting the thing for print. Right, sorry. So I'm getting for print, not for tell. But if I did something like that, obj dot tell, and I put my cursor here. Let me see. Shift tab, 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 tab. So it is saying, you can see. Can you see signature of f object dot tell? It is return the current stream position. Current stream position. You know, whenever you open a file, either for reading or for writing or for appending, it creates what is called a stream, a file stream. So current stream position is nothing but your cursor location. Cursor location. Okay. Okay. So does this make sense? Let me just take some feedback. So you guys are able to understand so far? Yeah. Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So
Yes.
let's come back to the right. Okay. Okay. Now I have a file called preamble1.txt. I will show it to you. This is the file preamble1.txt. This is the file on my computer. I created for this purpose only. This contains the preamble to the Indian Constitution, and it has these lines. Let me just highlight it and make it this thing right. So this is my file. Its name is preamble.txt. It has this line preamble. We, the people of India, have solemnly resolved to constitute India into whatever justice, liberty, equality, and promote fraternity, etc., etc. So this file I've just created as a test file to show you guys how to open and close the files, right? So this file is here. I can show it on my folder also. This is the file. This is the file. Preamble dot. Yeah, this is the file preamble.txt. I have opened it in I like to use Notepad++. This is my favorite editor because it's it's a beautiful editor. It can take almost any format of text or binary. So you can open it in Word also. Let me just try it. You can open it in Word also. Open with, you can WordPad. Word is not there. Anyway, so I'll not go into that. The point is that this file is there and you can open it in many of the applications. I've opened this, I've created. Now let me come back to the program. So now I am, so here let me just print out this, comment out this also. So what is happening? All these lines of code are commented out. So it will import OS is there, my path is there, and open my path will be there. Let me just run this. Let me just run it. And it opens my path. So f handle is an object which points to the so therefore f handle is an object of Python which is pointing to this particular file. So f handle f underscore handle is a handle to the object to the file preamble -1.txt. So that is the way it is, right? So let me just now let me print f handle. Let's see what happens. So what do I get? I get iodocs text wrapper name is equal to this thing. Mode is equal to R. Encoding is equal to CP1252. This is encoding for the Windows machine. If you are on a Linux or a iOS machine, you might get a different encoding, not of much concern, but the F handle is being printed, right? Okay, so let me just comment this out again. And let me just now print F handle dot read 10. Let's see what happens now. So what is happening is it is reading 10 characters from the file. So let us count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and there is a space 9, and W is the 10th character. I can show it to you on the thing also. If you see, so if you see, these are the 9 characters of the word preamble, followed by the new line, and then the W of the thing. So what has happened is that notice one thing, that the output will be from the current position of the cursor. So what has happened is that when I write file handle dot read 10, and it prints those 10 characters, and the cursor also moves. So it moves to the 11th position. So let me just comment this out. And now again run it. Let me just again run it. Let's see what happens now. Okay, since it's opening again, let me just this thing now. So there are 2 reads now. Let us see what happens. So what is happening? Let me show you. Now the first read statement prints these 10 characters. The second read statement prints the next 10 characters. Right? Okay. So basically read, as I told you, that any file handle has got certain methods and attributes. So read is a method of the file handle. So you write read and within bracket you write something so that many characters of the file will be read. If you don't, let us do something else. Let's remove this 10. Let's see what happens now. So it will try to read as much of the file as possible. The Python documentation says that if you do like this, the first 10 characters are read here, and this second read will generate the next of the file, WE, the people of India, this thing, and it will read the rest of the file. So if you do not specify the number of characters inside the read statement, the read function, then the rest of the as much as, if the file is too long, if it is having thousands and thousands of characters, then it will not be able to read the entire this thing, but
I'm there on the screen, no problem. Team, just bear with us for a second. All of you are there? Can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So after this class, small announcement in between, he'll join back. But a small announcement that we'll have a little longer session today, at least an hour with me. Okay. And we'll send you another Zoom link. Once this class is over, we'll take some 30-minute break and then we'll rejoin. Okay. Because we want to finish some theory portions today. And then, for Osint, whatever practicals are there, the moment the Anurag sir's class over, we'll continue with the, practical aspect of Osint. Okay. We'll do around 15-20 use cases, nice use cases. We'll take it from scratch, we'll learn, and we'll also write code for that. All of you need to have your Python screen on, and we'll do practical. All of you will do the practicals together. File handling is a very important part, for this entire journey, because you'll be handling files on a continuous basis. So learn it well. If there is a need for revisiting the videos, going through some of the documents, I have shared you very beginning itself. We have shared you a file, 100-page file on Python. So anything which are relevant for that, we have extracted and given it to you in that Python. So that book also you should go through it. And today I'll open rest of the chapter for Python so that you can cover on your own. And then we'll have a complete structured sessions around that. Yes, Sajal, I have a question.
Sir, can you share that 100 pages file again? It was not, I joined the group later, so I couldn't access this file.
It should be there in the group. You can check in the group.
So you have shared those documents, the Python, the guidelines and those, but not the 100 pages file again. Can you please share it again?
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries, sir.
Yeah, Balaji.
Yeah. Please continue.
Yeah, I'm back. There was a power glitch in my
Okay, no
home.
problem.
And my place, Ranchi, the power is not very reliable. So anyway, so we got a bit disconnected. Let me just again share my screen and come back to where I was. So this is right, and where was I? Yeah. So let me just minimize this also. So we were talking about the read method of the file object. So I've showed you how to create the file object, and I've also showed you how to do the read. And if I do not give any parameter to the read, it will read the entire file as much as it can. All right. Now this read is a method for getting the data. This read is a method for getting the data from the file, right? And seek is a method for setting the cursor. So let me just do it. Now let me just run this again. Let me put a print here just to, let me put 10 here. Let me just remove this line. Let me remove this line and let me write. Let me put a print. Let me put some, this is the way I like to do. Let me put a lot of X's here. So that now let me run it. So what am I getting? I am getting seek 02. So seek 02, seek, let me just take you back to my book. I think I've gone ahead in this thing. Open, we have discussed. Then open to create a new file. Then let me come back to yeah. I'll come to that seek again, but some common modes. I was telling you that the second parameter is the mode. So some common modes are, this is the default mode. If you give a simple R, then the file will be open for reading only. So you have to give it within quotes because it is taken as a string R. But if you put a R and a B, if you put a R and a B, then it is a reading in binary mode. If you don't put the B, it will be in the text mode. That means the default is reading the file in the text mode. But if you put a B in front of the R as a string to the open, as a second parameter to the open function of the Python built-in core library, then this RB will be, then the Python interpreter will understand that you want to open the file in binary mode. R plus. So R is only for reading, R plus for both reading and writing, but in the normal text mode. However, if you write RB plus, it is for both reading and writing in the binary mode. So these are the four options there are of mode. There are others which I have shown here. Then comes W. W is for writing only. If the file by the same name already exists, then it is overwritten without warning. However, if the file by the given name does not exist, then it is created for writing. That means if you try to open a file which is already existing, whatever data in the file is there will be all gone and new data will be printed or will be stored in the file. However, if the file name which you give to the Python interpreter as a parameter to the open function, if you write open, first parameter is file name, comma, then you write W within quotes like this. Then this file name, if it exists, will be overwritten. If it does not exist, then it will be created. And similarly, WB is for writing the file in binary format. And W plus is for both reading and writing. But W plus is different from R plus. R plus is for reading and writing, but W plus will simply overwrite whatever is existing in the. You can try out these on your own. I don't think I need to go over them one by one, because I believe that anybody who wants to learn programming should do his own script writing, should do his own research. You see, programming is like bodybuilding. I can tell you about all the dumbbells and the weights and the machines and what benefits they can give you, but until you actually try them out, until you go to a gym and try out those exercises, you will not get the benefit. So same as with programming. I can tell you all the theory, all the, I can show you all the scripts, but until you try these things out on your own, you will really not be able to get the complete benefit from this course, right? Similarly, WB plus is for writing in binary.
Hello,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, W plus is for write and read, or read or write.
Yes. Reading and writing. Yes.
First it will write and then read, no?
Yeah. No, read means, see, if you open it in W mode only, then you cannot use the function like read.
Okay.
Like if I give you a read 10, so if you open the file with W parameter, this will throw an error.
Yeah.
But if you open the file with W plus parameter, then you will be able to use the read function. That means you will be able to read the data of the file. This is the difference.
Okay.
However, if you open the file with W plus, then if that whatever is there in the file originally will be gone, will be lost.
Yes, sir. All right.
Right. Then W plus is this thing. A is append. Then AB is appending in the binary format. So like that, these are all the this thing. And then A plus, AB plus, we can try out all those things, right? So basically, okay. Now I'll come back to that seek in a minute. We were discussing in the script writing. So we are doing this. This entire course into 3 ways. There are 4 things. There's a book. There's a PowerPoint. There is a HTML, and there is a code which we write. So I'm going through the book, right? So I'm talking about the file object attributes. As you remember that read is not an attribute, it is a method of the file object. But the file object also has got certain attributes. After opening the file using open, you get a file object. This I've discussed. The file object is a number of attributes which can be accessed using the dot notation. Table 15.2 gives some common file attributes, assuming f handle is the file object or file handle. So f handle, if suppose this is the name of the object, then f handle dot closed, f handle dot mode, and like this. Then fhandle.name. So fhandle.name will give you the name of subject. Let us do this. Let us
Sir,
forget.
excuse me, sir. ये f handle क्या built-in object है?
No. This is. I have given this name. In fact, I have specified in this thing. I have said that assuming f handle is 5, that means this is something which you have. This is the return value of the open function. So if I use f handle, equal to open file name, then this is the file object or the file handle. I like to call it handle, probably like to call it object. So if this handle or this is an object, as I showed you, if you do type of this f handle, you can call it whatever you want. I have called it f handle in my book. You can call it whatever you want. It will give you the type of this object. I showed you that IO something. It is there on the screen. I don't remember the name of that object, but it's an object. And it has got many attributes: closed, mode, name. Because, for example, you want to modify the text, but before doing it, you want to see whether it is open or closed, right? So you can check whether a file is open or closed by using the closed attribute of the file handle. I will just show it to you, right? Let's do it practically, right? So let us comment this out for the moment. This I have basically yeah. Let me do it here. Let me run this first. So let me run this. So I have used the file. I've printed the type of. In my book, I've used f handle, but in this script, I'm using f-obj, f-object. You can use f, f1, f2, whatever you want, right? And when I ask you to print the type of f-object, I get text IO. It's a class IO underscore IO dot text IO wrapper. Now, as I told, see, this underscore has a special meaning in Python, which I did not explain. This is there in my chapter on. It is there in the chapter, I think, on inheritance or classes, where I've used the concept of mangling.
Public and private, no?
Right. Exactly. Mangling, the data hiding and mangling. You can look it up, but don't worry. But the one thing you can tell, that this has to be a class because it is beginning with the capital letter. As I told you, in Python, the class names invariably are, except the built-in class names of the Python interpreter, the rest of the class names are generally start with the capital letter. Therefore, you can tell, right? Now, this f-object.tell, it is telling you the position of the cursor, which is at 0, because we have just opened the file. We have not done any reading. Now let me just try something here. Let me just try. Let me do f-obj. Okay, one thing more I want to tell you. But if you do the dot and you press the tab, if you press the tab, I will show you. So when I press the tab on my screen after this f-object dot, I press tab, and I will get all the options which are there, all the variables and the methods which all the attributes and the methods which the f-object can have, right? And as you can see, let me again press tab. So I'm trying to do read. I'm doing 10. Let me do read 5. All right. So let me just comment out this statement. Let me now do. Oh, there's an error. I don't know. Maybe I've gone. So let me not do this, because removing errors can become a huge problem. So tell is 0. It should read. Let me try again. Read. It should read. See. So there's a problem. Okay, I'll not try to remove. I can spend a few minutes and try and remove this problem, but forget it. The point I'm making here is that this tell will point to the beginning of the file. We'll come back to it. I'll promise you we'll solve all this. All right.
Sir, I think we should use print function.
Right?
Printf, print, I think. Before you not use print, you just use the f object dot read.
You say you're saying that I should print over here. No, that doesn't matter. No, that will not help. You mean to say we should do like this, print f of j.
Yes, sir.
Dot
read.
No, this will not help. This will not help. This
Okay,
will not
yeah.
help. There's some other problem. Anyway, there's some other problem, but trying to remove errors in a live class can become pretty this thing. So forget it. Let's I'll sort it out in my next class. I explain why. So now okay. Now let's come back to the. Let me not go. Okay. So let me just again come back. Now I've opened the file over here. Now I'm saying
Sir, just before we move ahead, sir.
Yeah.
In the modes, you said R plus is also read write,
right.
and W plus is also read write. Then what
Right.
is the difference between both R plus and W plus, sir?
See, when you open the file in W plus, then whatever is there in the file will be gone.
Right, sir.
But if you open in the read plus, then whatever exists will not be gone. You can read
Right.
and write, but you cannot append.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Okay.
Okay, but to be more precise, do your own research, right? So find out. It's all there on the net. Every single thing which I'm mentioning, you can find thousands and thousands of websites explaining all these things. I can't tell you every single possibility because it's like an ocean, right? But I can give you the basic broad principles which will help you to understand the code better. So that I can do, right? I got where was I? So yeah, I was checking. Now, suppose I say print f. Oh, I was using f anyway. F handle dot closed. Let me just do this. It is coming to be false. So what is happening? I'm using the closed attribute of the f handle. Since I've opened the file over here, I have not closed it. I have not closed it. Therefore, this closed is giving me a value of false, right? But suppose I put another statement over here. Suppose I write f handle dot and I put tab. It is close. Now let me print. It is giving. Now it is giving true. Now this is giving true. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I have closed the file. Therefore, this closed attribute is now giving me a value of true. But if I comment this out, if I comment it out, then again I run it. Oh God, what's happened now? No, I commented out the wrong this thing because I cannot access this. I should comment this one out. Now let me do. Now it is giving false. So now I have not. So therefore, the line of code which was closing this file has been commented out. That means the file remains open. So when I say closed, it gives me a value of false, which indicates that the file is not closed. The file is still open. Is this clear? Yeah. Okay. So let's come back to the book. So, okay. So let's talk about some common methods of reading and writing to a file. So the three common methods of reading are read lines, read line, and read lines. Read line with a, that is a singular read line, and read lines, which is a plural of read lines. Then write. Then for getting file position, seek and tell. Seek and tell. So we'll talk about read, we'll talk about read lines, we'll talk about read lines, we'll talk about write, and we'll talk about getting the file position, basically the cursor position. The cursor position in seek and tell. So let's talk about the read method and the tell method. Once a file has been opened using the open method, then the read method can be used to read it. This is very obvious. Note that the file must have been opened in the mode which permits reading. For example, the W mode does not permit reading. So you cannot use the read method on a file object which has been opened in the W mode. So if you open your file in the W mode and then you try to do the read method on the file object which you have created, then it will throw an error, right? When you read the file using the read method, there are two important things to note. The place from where the reading starts and how much to read. So the place from where the reading starts, that is the position of the cursor, and how much to read, that means how many characters to read. So the syntax of the read method is file object dot read count. Count is optional. I showed you two ways where I put count of 10 and I did not put count of anything. The method read has one optional parameter. So this is also optional, count. If you don't give any count parameter, then the read function tries to read as much as possible. How much data read method can read also depends upon the location of the cursor. That is the point at which the cursor is. Note that the current position within the file is sometimes called the cursor. That means the current position from where the read, that means the place from where the reading will start, that is called the current position, also called the cursor. If the cursor is at the beginning of the file, the read method without any count parameter will try to read the complete file till the end of the file. However, if the cursor is at the end of the file, then the read method will give return empty string. However, if the count parameter is given, then the read will try to read that many bytes of data. So there are three things here. 1, 2, and 3. First is that it will try to read if the cursor is at the beginning of the file and you give a read without any parameter, it will try to read the entire file. However, if the cursor is at the end of the file and you don't give any parameter, the read method or the read function will return an empty string because your cursor is at the end of the file. But suppose your cursor is neither at the beginning nor at the end, but somewhere in between, and you give a read method with a certain number of bytes, it will try to read as many bytes as till the end of the file. That means that suppose there are 100 bytes and this is the cursor is a 0 and 100 is the last. So and suppose the cursor is at 90, right? And you give a read with a parameter of 20. So it will give from 90 to 100. But if you give a read with a parameter of 5, it will read from 90 to 95. You need to check whether it starts from a 0 or a 1, that you need to check. You check on your own. But the basic idea is that the amount of data that the read function will read depends upon two things. It depends, number one, on the place where your cursor is, and number two, the number of bytes which you ask that particular read function to read. Is this clear? Yeah? You can move ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then so I was talking about two methods, fobject.read and has a method called tell. Using this method, you can know the current position of the cursor. The current position in many is called cursor or pointer. This thing is f object dot tell. Let me just show you. Let me just show you on the script. So we were here. Let us remove this. Let us write f handle dot tell. So this is giving you the, I can prove it to you that this is this output. Let me just show this. So this is giving you a position of 0 because you have simply opened the file. But suppose I read 10, I remove this, then I copy this line again, and now I do now let me do. So just see this the first tell is giving me a 0. Then I read 10 characters, and then the second tell is giving me a this is giving me, because this read is also giving you this output. This output is coming from the read. This is coming from here. And then the second tell is giving me a position of 11. So now after the first read, when the 10 characters have been read, the cursor of the file handle object now points to the character at position number, index number 11. And that has been proved by this print statement, which gives you f underscore handle dot tell equal to 11. Is it okay? Anyone? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I have explained to you the read method. I have also explained to you
What if we put any number inside the tell bracket? Will it show some error? Or
No, it'll throw an error. You can't do that. I have not tried it, but you try on your own. Tell is simply not supposed to take any. You want to see? Okay, let's see. Let me put my this thing here, and let me put my shift and tab. No, this is giving me, sorry, this is giving me the thing of print method. So let me just do, if you really want to, we are going on a sidetrack, but let me just try. Let me just put it here. And let me put my this thing in tell, and let me see. Oh God, what happened? Shit. No. I printed the shift tab. So there are no, there's no scope of giving any parameter to the tell method. This is very clear from the signature. Oh, wait. Let me show it again. Shift tab once, twice, thrice, 4 times. So now let's see. The signature of ftell is simply tell. There is no parameter inside the tell. You can't put any parameter. If you put, it will be an error. Returns the current stream position. It's a built-in function or method. You can't say tell 15, tell 20, it will not run, because tell method is not expected to take any attribute. Is that clear? Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. Clear. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So now this is the tell method. Then there is a seek method. Let us see the seek also. Seek. Okay. F object dot tells you the current position of the cursor, but there is a seek method to change the location of the cursor to the desired location. So you can change the position of the cursor by using the seek method of the file object. Some important aspects of the seek is offset from method is as follows. It has 2 parameters, offset and from what. The offset parameter is mandatory, while the from what is optional. The offset parameter is the number of bytes which the cursor is to be moved, and from what is the anchor or the point from where the offset begins. By default, from what is 0, meaning that by default, the count of the offset is done from the start of the opened file. Similarly, a value of 1 indicates the offset is to be done from the current position of the cursor. And a value of 2 indicates the offset is to be done from the end of the file. Just understand, the cursor can be in 3 different places. It can be in the beginning of the file, which would be indicated from 0. It can be at the end of the file, which is indicated by 2, or it can be somewhere where it is there in the file, which is indicated by 1. All right. Suppose you want the cursor to move 5 bytes from the beginning, then you will give seek 0, 5, right? If you want the cursor to move 5 positions from the current location, then you will use seek 1, 5, right? And you cannot do from the end of the position. I'm not sure whether you can use a negative number, check it out. But probably, I don't know, just check it out whether you can do seek 2, -5. I don't know whether you can do this or not. This would indicate moving 5 characters backwards from the end of the file, because this 2 indicates the location. This 0 indicates the location. This 1 indicates the location. So 0 means move 5 characters from the beginning of the file. 1 means move 5 characters from the position wherever you are. And 2 means, I don't know whether you can use move 5 positions. You can't move in the forward direction, but maybe you can move the backward direction by using -5. Check it out. I don't know the answer to this question. Is this clear?
सर इसमें आपने बताया 5 bytes का movement और characters both are different.
Yeah, I should use characters because we are using in the text mode. We are using now, you see, now if you want me to go into that, so there are different encoding algorithms. If you are going into Unicode, it could be 2 bytes. If you are going into some other listing, I don't want to go into all that. If you want to do your research, you do it, but basically 5 characters. But this could vary from operating system to operating system. This could vary from, I don't know. So you need to do your own research. As I understand it, it will move it by 5 characters, but I'm open to correction. Provide if you can do your research and tell me by the next class what it means, 5 characters or 5 bytes or 5, I don't know. All right. Okay. So let's move ahead, right? No, just one more thing. There is also a, this is an OS module, os.seek set. Seek set, seek cur, and seek end. os.seek. So os.seek set is equivalent to from what equal to 0. os.seek cur is equivalent to from what equal to 1. And os.seek end is equal to from what equal to 2. This is, if you don't understand, I'll just show it to you on the code so you will understand. It's very easy. Coming back here. So let us remove all these this thing. Let us remove this. Print it out. Let's run it. So let us remove this print also. Right. So let me run this. Let me run it again. Okay. So I have removed all the other print statements except this one. In fact, I should have removed this also. Then this one. And then finally, I am doing this. So since this is the last statement and there are no other statements ahead of it, all of them are commented out, its output will also go to the standard output, which is 11. So after having moved 10, the tell method of the f handle or the file object is telling me that I am at character number 11, right? So I think the index in this read starts from 1 and not from 0, like a list. So the first character is read 1, not read 0. So if you try to read, if you do a read 0, it will probably give you an error. You can test it out on your own. All right. Okay. Okay. So let me just comment this out. Now, let me just remove this remove, come back to the spring. Let me now let me run it. So seek 02. Seek 02. 2 means end of the this thing, which gives you a 582. Right? Okay. So this I think I want to let me now again comment it out. And let me just remove the comment from here. Let's run it. Okay. So what I've done, I'm giving seek, and in the second parameter, I'm giving OS dot seek underscore set. So this is basically equal to 0. That means come to the beginning of the file. That is why it is giving you the cursor location is giving you 0. Right? Okay. So this is how this आधे घंटे में आओ, आधे घंटे में आधे घंटे के बाद, ठीक है. So this is what it gives. Then let me comment this out. And now let me read this seek current. Let me do this. So you can see that I have commented out all these lines. And now I am reading fhandle.seek, os.seek cur. I am doing os. These are all small letters, dot seek underscore cur. That means current location. Since it has read 10 over here, it will give me an output of 11. But suppose I comment out this one also. Let me run now. So now what is happening? So there are two read lines. This is the first read line, and this is the second read line, which is printing this letter. But the seek is giving me an output of 21. Why? Because the first read has read 10. The second read has also read 10. So the current position of the cursor is 21. All right. So I hope that is clear. So if I comment again, if I remove these lines also, and I do this also, and let me see this. Let me now do it. So now it is giving me seek end. So now this line of code is getting printed. This is giving me 582. So is this clear? Yeah. Is this clear? Anybody would like to?
Yeah.
Sir,
This
sir, I want
582
to
is
ask.
the characters, total characters from position to till end.
No. So this is my the number of characters in this part preamble and -1. This particular file, this has, I presume it has five that many characters. I don't know whether there's any tool for counting.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's written.
It's shown
Yeah, it's
582.
already written in task.
It is written where?
In the last line.
Yeah, 582.
Yes,
Yeah, it's written 582. Correct. That's right. So you guys are smarter than me.
But sir, I want to ask something, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, in the program, yes, so in the bottom, first, second, third, fourth, fifth line, we have written print fhandle.seek 02, which also indicates the number of character, and the last .os.seek and also indicates the number of character.
Yeah, these are two different ways of doing the same thing. OSG, see, this is, this is another important aspect of Python, that in fact many programming languages, that constants which are used in the program are generally all capital. So you will use something like SEEK, underscore end. So this refers to some constant in the program. You see that you need to understand. Generally, this is a bad programming and this is good programming. Why? Because this is called hard coding. This is called hard coding. That means we have put a number over there, which if tomorrow you want to make two to point to something different, then you have to change the 2 in every line of code wherever you have done. However, if you have done this kind of a thing, you just need to change the value of this variable, and wherever this seeker is there, it will all get automatically changed. Does it make sense?
Okay, sir.
So you should not go for, for you who's simply using the libraries, it doesn't matter. But for someone who's writing the library, these things really matter. They would not like to use these kind of values for their constants also. Because as you are going from one version to another version, there might be a need to change certain, constants also. You may need to give new values, you may need to change. So hard coding is avoided. So generally, whenever you see if you see the source code of the scripts, you will generally not find these kind of, in a well-written library, you will not find these kind of values. You will find these kind of values. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we are done with this part. Let us move ahead. So I've covered seek. Now let me do read line. Can we continue the rest of the class later on, because I have to go somewhere. So this much.
So, sir, you can drop off. You can drop off.
I'm sorry, I could not cover the entire chapter.
No, that's fine. I think it's I've got something more. I've got something more than this for you.
Yeah.
Because in file handling, I need some more libraries. So
file handling, there are. I will only talk about the inbuilt functions of the Python library. There are many libraries which are not inbuilt, and they can also do many, if not all of these things, like reading, read line, and all that. I can't go into all that because that is like endless. So the beauty of Python is that
the way you are taking us, the students can create their own libraries. So that's the best part of it.
No, writing library is not that easy. It requires a lot of skill. You need to, but if you want to write your own libraries, the first thing which you need to read is there on GitHub. And I would suggest to all you people that try to create your own page on GitHub. It's totally free. It's absolutely free, and learn to create it, because if you want to have a career in programming, whether you are in any area, whether you are into data science, whether you are into hacking, whatever, and if you want to showcase your skills to any company, the first thing they would like to see is what is there on a GitHub page, right? So if you have written some scripts, you have done some work, if you've done some articles, whatever you have written, some research, put it all on a GitHub page. And if you're writing to a company to hire you,
we'll have one day session, sir, on GitHub. We'll have one dedicated day for GitHub day, actually.
Yeah, we can do it. It's even I'm not very well versed with GitHub, but the basics, of course, I can tell you guys. I can tell you the basics, but
that's fine.
All right. Okay. So I'm going off over here, so you guys can. So Balaji, please take over. I'm just.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
I think
Thank you so much. All right.
But just stay back for 2 minutes. Some important announcement.